25 kilometers, 170 corners, complete darkness at midnight. And the four-time Formula One world champion is about to drive every single meter of it. This isn't Monaco. This isn't Silverstone. This isn't the pristine, perfectly lit, laser-measured world of Formula One. This is the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the place they call the Green Hell. And Max Verstappen chose to be here, not because he had to, because he wanted to. So ask yourself two questions before this story is over. Why would the most dominant driver in Formula One spend his free weekend risking everything in a forest in Germany? And what does it tell us when the happiest we've seen Max Verstappen in months is here? Let's set the scene. The Nürburgring 24 Hours, a race that began in 1970, a race that has devoured legends. The track itself is unlike anything in motorsport. While the longest circuit in Formula One, Spa, stretches around 7 kilometers with 20 corners, the Nordschleife runs 25 kilometers with a staggering 170 corners. Many of those corners driven in complete darkness. Zero track lighting, just headlights, instinct, and nerve. And the field? It's not 20 cars like Formula One. It's over 160 cars. GT3 monsters, GT4 machines, Porsche Cup cars, touring cars, BMW M240i's. All on the same piece of tarmac. All at the same time. 23 separate classes. Racing simultaneously. In fog. In rain. In temperatures dropping to 2 and 3 degrees Celsius overnight. They don't call it the Green Hell for nothing. But that was just the start. Because this year, something changed. Something that sent shockwaves through motorsport before a single qualifying lap was even completed. Max Verstappen, Red Bull Racing's crown jewel, a four-time Formula One world champion, still actively competing at the peak of his F1 career, entered the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Not as a guest, not as a celebrity passenger, as a competitor. Number 3 Mercedes-AMG GT3, alongside teammates Lucas Auer, Mar O'Engel, and Daniel Juncadella. And the moment that entry was confirmed, the sold-out signs went up. For the first time in the race's history, multi-day tickets were completely gone. Saturday tickets? Vanished. Camping spots? Sold out. The organizers were forced to tell fans without tickets, "Don't come. You won't get in." 280,000 fans expected. Every road into the circuit packed solid. That is the Verstappen effect. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because you'd expect Max to talk about strategy, about preparation, about the technical challenge. And he did, but not in the way you'd expect. In his own words.
Is there rain involved or not? That will make it a lot harder. As fast as you can without taking too many risks.
That's where it all started for me, on the simulator. I've done thousands of laps. I've competed on multiple 24-hour races around here in the sim world. Thousands of laps, before ever driving a real meter of the Nordschleife.
One of the biggest races, of course, in the year is the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, so that's why we are here.
So when he finally arrived in real life, the track knowledge wasn't the problem. It was understanding the grip levels of new tarmac, the real car, the G-forces, the compressions. This is a man who studied obsessively, who prepared with the same intensity he brings to a Formula One championship battle. But here's the twist. This same man, who arrived fully prepared,
Well, that's why we're here, winning.
was disqualified from an earlier 2026 Nürburgring event due to a technical infringement. He'd already been here, already been hurt by this place, and he came back anyway. Why? Because this story was never really about a 24-hour race. It was always about something Formula One should be deeply uncomfortable discussing. Max Verstappen, in the middle of an active F1 season, chose to spend a rare free weekend fighting through traffic at midnight in a forest, sharing a car, doing pit stop driver changes, dealing with fog and cold and amateur drivers and unpredictability. And he was smiling. One fan wrote it perfectly, watched him smile at the ring. So happy. That is why millions watch. That line sounds simple, but it carries enormous weight. Because lately, Max has sounded emotionally exhausted by Formula One. The politics, the media obligations, the battery management, the FIA drama. He openly mocked the 2026 technical direction. And now here he stands, in the most chaotic, dangerous, unglamorous race environment on Earth. And he tells us directly, "I'm aware I can have a bad crash there, but I'm not afraid. I like it. It gives me a smile on my face. Every time I jump out of the car, I'm happy. That's what I'm after, to have fun. Fun. When was the last time you heard Max Verstappen use that word about Formula One? And Formula One is noticing. Because every lap Max drives at the Nürburgring creates one deeply uncomfortable question in the paddock's mind. What if this feels more like racing than Formula One itself? The numbers already tell a story Formula One cannot ignore. F1 revenue soared, up 53% to $617 million. Billion in Q1 2026. Financially, the sport is enormous. But emotionally, that's where the cracks appear. Fans are increasingly separating the spectacle from the racing. They want danger, imperfection, rawness, unpredictability. And the Nürburgring still delivers every single one of those things. The FIA is now quietly discussing reducing electric deployment, changing the energy split, simplifying the 2026 cars, even bringing V8 engines back. That is not coincidence. That is pressure. Built by Max, built by fans watching him reconnect with everything modern Formula One has slowly engineered away. And one fan captured the fear perfectly. Max doesn't need F1. He can leave F1 behind and go on to conquer endurance races. For the first time, that sentence doesn't sound ridiculous. Scenario 1. Max Verstappen finishes the Nürburgring 24 hours. Maybe top 5. Maybe a retirement. He flies to Montreal, refocuses, and this becomes just another chapter in an extraordinary career. Formula One breathes again. Scenario 2. Max Verstappen wins the Nürburgring 24 hours. The green hell. Conquered. In his first proper attempt. The emotional symbolism becomes impossible to contain, and suddenly GT racing doesn't look like retirement anymore. It looks like freedom. Scenario 3. Formula One continues pushing over-engineered, corporate, carefully managed spectacle, and Max keeps smiling wider every time he climbs out of a GT3 car at 4 a.m. covered in rain and rubber. Until one day, the comparison becomes a decision. Is the Nürburgring just a passion project for Max Verstappen? Or is it a mirror, showing Formula One exactly what it has lost? And if the greatest driver on the planet looks happier in the green hell than under the lights of a Grand Prix, what does that tell us about where motorsport's soul actually lives? One thing is certain. The next 24 hours won't just decide a race result. They'll decide a story that Formula One cannot afford to ignore.